everyone, and welcome to. I want to cut. Okay, there you go. There we go. Hi, everyone, and welcome to TWF Collision or Hit. I, Tony Schiavone, with Jim Ross and with Montel Vertadius Porter, and today on Collision or Hit, we have a good show here today. We're going to talk about what happened yesterday on Friday Night SmackDown. Yesterday on Friday Night SmackDown, we saw Baron Corbin beat the Evil Queen in a prolonging war between two of them. Also, we do know now that Seth Rollins will have the right to fight Asuka for the TWF heavyweight winnings coming sometime this month at Heatwave. We might most likely do it on the same day that WWE does theirs. I can tell you one thing, Tony. Seth Rollins somehow got lucky by beating LA Knight and Velasquez. But we do know that Velasquez and LA Knight are not happy with how they lost. And they think that they should also be fighting Asuka for the TWF heavyweight winnings. But that's up to the TWF leadership team to come up with that. Jim Ross says. Yeah, that is true. I'll tell you one thing right now. You're right, Jim. It is only up to the TWF leadership team to come up with that. And the four-setter and head leadership wicker, Astronomer, and also the overseer of leadership and main wicker, the TWF, Ric Flair, are the two main folks that will have to come up with that. I'll tell you right now, Tony and Jim, the way things are going, LA Knight and Velasquez should be lucky that their heads are still on. Because as you know, one thing, dolls their heads tend to come off. And that tends to be what happens to many dolls. Jack dolls, Mattel dolls, Hasbro dolls, Toy Biz dolls, McFarlane toy dolls, even Marvel Toys, which was formerly Toy Biz. You know. Well, from what you're saying, Montel Vertadius Porter, is that both LA Knight and Velasquez should be lucky they're still alive, right? Jim Ross says. Well, I can tell you what, Tony Schiavone said. I guess you think that Bobby Lashley should be fighting Asuka instead of Seth Rollins. Alright, everyone. I, Astronomer, also known as Corone. And Wednesday, I was named as the new four-sitter and head leadership wicker of the Toy Wrestling Federation, taking over Toy Wrestling Gathering, taking over for Rick Rodchez, who he worked for NBA for many years, MLB, and didn't really quite have an understanding of the skilled wrestling business. So I know that I've been kind of busy with making new oversights, and I have been working with my staff, with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the head works wicker, God Jora, the head booker and head writer, and along with Ric Flair, the main wicker to TWF, and also the wicker of leadership TWF, and all of us have come up with who we believe should be fighting Asuka next after Seth Rollins. LA Knight and Velasquez will have another match between each other today. Whoever wins between that match will go on to fight either Asuka or Seth Rollins next month at whatever Yield show it happens to be. A WWF WWE one, a MAC WWCW one, ECW one, or a TNA one. Whatever one we choose to offshoot from. And I just want to say right now that I am truly happy for my daughter, my elderling Astronomer, becoming the four-setter and head leadership wicker of the Toy Wrestling Gathering. Now, she cannot fill the same shoes that were set by Steve Austin, or the same shoes that were worn by Angel or Aladdin or Ric Flair or Hunter Hearst Helmsley. But she can make her own, or Rick Rodchez, but she can make her own. Yes, you're right, Ecliptor, I will. I'm the first woman to ever be the head of the toy wrestling gathering. And I do follow in the footsteps of the ones before me, like Steve Austin, or Angel, or Aladdin, or Ric Flair, Hunter Helmsley, or Rick Rodchez. But I will hope to do things that they never did. I say thank you and hope you like the show. Now we just heard from Astronema, or Carone, the force setter and head leadership wicker of the toy wrestling gathering. And now we know the match we're going to see here today is going to be Belasca and LA Knight fighting. Whoever wins will have the right to take on either Asuka or Seth Rollins next month at whatever Yield show that happens to be. Tony Schiavone says. Yep, well here comes LA Knight coming out to the ring now. Alright, so the new force setter and head leadership wicker of the toy wrestling gathering has already made an oversight and put your man, LA Knight, in a match against Belasca, the goddess of madness. Now, I don't got nothing against Asuka. I don't have nothing against Belasca. She all good. But she ain't like me. And Belasca, you might be the goddess of madness, but I will drop you. And then I will go on to face either Seth Rollins or Asuka for the TWF heavyweight winnings. And you'll know, everyone will say whose game it is. LA Knight, yeah! First off, who are this yeah you keep talking to? The only folks watching are all those other dolls in that web, on those stands and that book stands over there. And we all know those are the only ones that are watching the show. So are they saying yeah? Well, first off, LA Knight, I don't have anything against you. But I know that if it wasn't for Seth Rollins, I would have had you beat that day. And now I get to show everyone that I will have you beat that day. So if the Fight Lord comes out now, we can do the match. Ding, ding. Well, the match is underway, Tony Schiavone says. And Belasca, the goddess of madness, as she was called, who only showed up in 2 sagas of Xena, Fighter Aldolings, 2 with following, The Stretch, and The Needed Evil. Well, that's right, but she also showed up, Jim Ross says, in Xena, the Stone of Doom game that came out for Nintendo 64. That's right. Belasca, who is a former TWF heavyweight fighter in her own right, she's been in the toy wrestling gathering since the 12th month of 9 between 99 while when she came from Ames. From the top rope, oh, and she's about to get her guts stomped it in by LA Knight, Montel Rictadius Porter says. You know, I truly believe it should be Bobby Lashley that should be getting every shot at Asuka. LA Knight with a hip toss. First off, Tony Schiavone says, Montel, Bobby Lashley had 2 matches with Asuka, and he lost both of those matches. Yeah, he did, Jim Ross says. And I guess he's got no one to guilt, only you, because you're the one that gave him the game goal. It didn't work. Close stake. Hey, Bobby Lashley didn't need me to give him a game goal. Bobby Lashley didn't need to get spit in the lair, some mist in his lair and he couldn't see. And that's how Asuka beat him those 2 times. Oh, always got forgivenesses, Tony Schiavone said. Sun in my eyes, shoes unbinded. What's next? The interweb's out. A close stake, LA Knight does to Belasca. Well, Jim Ross says, we know Belasca has been through a lot of wars in her own right. She's been in the toy wrestling gathering. She's won the TWF heavyweight winnings, the TWF hard middle winnings more than once. She's won the TWF, she won the CWF heavyweight winnings. Hell, she's a former TWF tag team fighter once with Kevin Owens. And that tells me something. You know what? Asuka is not, Belasca is nothing more than a Kevin Owens wannabe, a sit-up mic bomb. And I'll tell you why. She just did a sit-up mic bomb like Kevin Owens does. And a thunder gun ball just like Kevin Owens does. And now she's going to give him a stunner like Kevin Owens does. She's a Kevin Owens wannabe, a knockoff. Well, that's so funny because Belasca was doing all these things in TWF around the time Kevin Owens started doing those things in WWE, so I don't know who was offshooting from who. LA Knight getting back up now. Oh, LA Knight. He did his hold. It's over. LA Knight's beating Belasca. 1, 2, 3. Ding, 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 ding. Here is your winner. And now has the right to fight Asuka next month or Seth Rollins next month for the TWF Heavyweight Winnings. LA Knight. Well, now, LA Knight now has the right to fight Asuka or Seth Rollins next month for the TWF Heavyweight Winnings, Tony Schiavone says. And I don't think I think LA Knight did a good match. And at the end of the day, I don't think Belasca had anything to feel guilty of. She had a good match in her own right. Oh yeah, she did have a good match in her own right, Jim Ross says. Hopefully Belasca will be the TWF heavyweight fighter sometime in the upcoming. Oh yeah, we're talking about someone who lost. Belasca lost to LA Knight. Seth Rollins will beat Asuka. Then he'll beat LA Knight. Then he'll beat Belasca. And then anyone else they put in lead of him. Well, we'll see if any of that happens to happen or not. Tony Schiavone says. Montel, Vertatis Porter. Take it away, Gene Okerlund. All right, Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross. I'm going to be talking with the one who has the right to either fight Asuka or Seth Rollins next month for the TWF Heavyweight Winnings. All right, LA Knight. I never did get to talk to you when you were in WWE because you were, I believe you came in WWE, but I got a chance to seek to talk with you. However, I do believe that you are now going to fight either Seth Rollins or Asuka. It's like this, Gene Okerlund. I beat Belasca. I beat the Goddess of Madness. And then I will go on to either beat Asuka, the Kaiser of tomorrow, or Seth fucking Rollins, or whatever the hell his middle name is. And then I'll be the TWF heavyweight fighter. And it's true that we never met. And we never did get to talk with me, because by the time I got to WWE, I guess you were what, already, did you die by that time? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to be fighting Seth Rollins, and then I'm going to be the TWF heavyweight fighter. And then, Gene Okerlund, everybody will know what game it is. LA Knight, yeah. Well, are you worried about Asuka beating so many folks? What if Asuka beats Seth Rollins and then she beats you? I don't know what the upcoming holds, but I can tell you one thing. I will give Asuka a fight. I will give Seth Rollins a fight. You can reckon on that. All right, that's my talk with LA Knight. Back to you, Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross. Well, thank you, Gene Okerlund, for talking with LA Knight here today on Collision or Hit. And that's all the time we got here for Collision or Hit. I, Tony Schiavone, with Jim Ross and Montel Vertatis Porter. We hope you like Collision or Hit, and we'll see you tomorrow for Power or Might.